My husband stuck it in crazy.
I met Brandon a little over 2 years ago. We met at a friend's party, and I was quite taken with him, almost immediately. His chin and cheekbones looked like they had been carved by a gifted sculptor who felt like showing off. And the fact that he was a good conversationalist, effortlessly charming, and had an arrogant glint in his eyes certainly didn't help matters. I fell. I fell hard. He told me he was crazy about me too, and less than a year later, we were married. Yes, I know what you're thinking, that it was too early, far too early, and you're right. Except I didn't realize it at the time. Being lost in the funhouse of the so-called romantic stage made me brush aside my friends' advice when they told me I was rushing into this. I was happy and in love. What did my friends and family know? However, about a year into our marital bliss, I began to notice things. Brandon suddenly got into the habit of dropping by at the gym for a quick workout just before coming home from work. We used to always shower together when we got home, but now, on most days of the week, he had already showered at the gym. He said it was because he was sweaty from the aforementioned workout. He also began taking business trips much more frequently. He was on the phone a lot, almost always in his study, and would jump if I ever walked in on those rare occasions when the door wasn't locked. I came to the same conclusion that you just did and decided to hire a private detective. Brandon exceeded my expectations. He was sleeping with not one, not two, but 6 different women. I saved the picture the detective sent me. That night when my husband came home much later than usual, and after saying something about his boss being a jackass, he fell asleep next to me. I didn't confront him. I decided to let this go on for a while, because just underneath the anger, I felt genuine and morbid curiosity. I wanted to know just how far he would take this facade. In the weeks that followed, Brandon's lies became more and more creative. He had scratch marks on his shoulders because he slipped and fell at work, just as his coworker was opening a drawer and the edges of the drawer scratched his skin. He reeked of women's perfume because Laura from marketing does not understand the meaning of the word moderation, and she was a hugger. All of these cock and bull stories were told with a perfectly calm demeanor and while looking me straight in the eye. His knack for mendacity was admirable. We did keep having sex. A cheating whore he was, but he did have a great body and phenomenal lovemaking skills. And I have needs, so why the hell not? I had the private detective film his interaction with his lady friends, the ones that took place in public, of course. All 6 of those women seemed quite charmed with him, just as I had been, but one of them, a young girl probably in her early to mid-20s, looked downright obsessed with him. The way she smiled at him, fawned over him, pulled her chair closer to him and kissed him even in a crowded restaurant, the way she just didn't want to let go of him when he was dropping her off at her place. Her feelings were certainly a lot more intense than those of the others. I'm willing to bet that the scratch marks had come from her. Her name was Svetlana. Soon after, Brandon's devil-may-care demeanor began giving way to irritation and anxiety. He often sounded angry when talking on the phone. The person on the other end seemed to really be getting on his nerves. At times, his phone would ring nonstop. We'd be at the dinner table, and it would ring. He'd answer. Tell the person that they'd talk later, and it would ring immediately after he'd hung up. This would go on till he had turned it off. My suspicions about who it could be were confirmed when one evening I heard him say in an angry whisper, "It's over, Lana." The poor thing. But I couldn't totally blame Brandon for wanting to get away from her. She did seem like obsessive kind. I couldn't help but wonder. A few days later, I decided to run into Svetlana at the mall. By now, the detective had been told that his services were no longer required, but not before I had learned the details of Svetlana's schedule. The poor girl deserved to know the truth about the man she clearly loved. I introduced myself as Brandon's wife. 2 harmless little words that when put together made her look like a bomb had gone off inside her head. I told her I felt for her, that neither her nor I deserved to lay it to this way, that I would have been jealous of her had she been the only other woman, but how can I be jealous of so many women? That last thing I said made her eyes go even wider and got a "What?" out of her. I proceeded to tell her all about Brandon's other affairs. I showed her the pictures, gave her names, and told her she deserves better than this, that she should move on. Then I walked away. All I had to do now was wait. The phone call came on a Friday afternoon. You see, Brandon hadn't come home the night before, and being the concerned wife that I was, I called his friends, his office, his parents, his gym, everyone. As it turns out, his secretary also didn't show up to work that day. The police officer told me to come down to the station immediately. When I got there, I learned that my husband and his secretary had been found dead in the secretary's apartment, their skulls brutally crushed. I broke down. I allowed the anger over Brandon's betrayal to finally surface, and my screams and tears made the cops think I was grief-stricken. No acting was needed. As the investigation progressed, Brandon's indiscretions became known. The cops asked if I knew about them, and I confessed that I did, but that my Brandon was just a sex addict. He told me so. He loved me, and the other women were just objects to him. We were going to seek counseling. Interestingly, one Svetlana Lebedev, one of the women Brandon had been having affairs with, had suddenly gone missing. She had quit her job and vacated her apartment the day before Brandon was killed. Now I'm wondering if I should leave town, if Svetlana would come after me next, just for daring to be married to Brandon. Although I don't think I have much to worry about because, as crazy as she is, I think I might be crazier.